Hi everybody. I wanted to post a video. I was actually driving home from work this evening and I started thinking a lot about growing up, living on the reservation and so forth. And I guess some of the thoughts that I started having were thinking back on whenever I went to practice. One of the first times, being there in tryouts or whatever it may have been, and just kind of everybody's overall attitude towards practice. A lot of the reason why I started off with the website, with the pages, things that I've been trying to reach out with social media is really to try to encourage parents, children, really to try to take advantage of the steps and the processes that we go through. And so one thing I was thinking about this evening, and I definitely appreciate for each of you if you could take time, if you can relate to either like or to comment on kind of your experiences too. But I'm pretty sure most of you can relate that maybe there was times where you worked really hard, you put forth a great effort, and maybe in some cases you got made fun of, and not just on the practice field, but maybe it was in class. I know frequently, growing up where I did, in the towns that I was living in, if you were really, maybe you're, referred as, this guy's just a schoolboy or a schoolgirl, or, he thinks he's smart, he thinks he's better. And, sometimes even going to practices, you'd get made fun of, literally would get made fun of for working hard in practice. And that blows me away, I guess, just kind of looking back now and thinking about my children, and one of the conversations my son and I were having the other day is, he asked me, Dad, are you proud of me? Dad, did I do a good job? And just as the nature of our conversations kind of, one of the things I remember telling him was, son, one of the greatest compliments you can receive is being called a hard worker. But yet looking back at, my niece's age, who, my niece Kayla is 11 years old, I remember being about her age and, and getting into, quote, competitive sports. I moved to the reservation at that time, and basketball was, supposedly such a big deal, but yet a lot of people would make fun of others for working hard. And I was fortunate enough that, my father and my grandfather were military men and very strong-willed, and so, they didn't really give us much of a choice, and so we had to, my brothers and I, Lawrence, Lamoni, many of you, know who they are, we had to run. We had to wake up and go run in the mornings, and, I remember sometimes, as we'd run, people would honk and kind of laugh and thought it was cute and funny to see three boys running on dirt roads or running around Tuba City. And in looking back, I guess, that's something that, I look at. Maybe there's a lot of athletes that didn't reach their potential because maybe they didn't want to take that risk to work hard and put forth their best effort. I was fortunate enough with my father that he gave me, a lot of guidance and direction, and he gave me a mindset to maybe think beyond that. But not a lot of kids have that. And so once again, through the site, I'd really like to encourage parents and children, to really take the opportunity to train and to practice and do things together. Feel free definitely to post, pictures or videos, on the site, or on the page, kind of showing that, because I think it's very important that, our children are able to learn at a very young age the importance and the joy. I mean, genuinely the joy and the blessings of hard work, and it's not so much being fixated on a goal. I know frequently maybe people question, or maybe people have thoughts as far as, the way I go about things with my children. And I've never once told my son, you have to achieve certain things, or, my nieces, there's never a conversation where you have to have some sort of success in a sport. Sports and athletics are an avenue in which we principles to guide and govern us throughout the rest of our lives. But in some cases, maybe there's children out there that aren't learning that, and the value of practice, of training, of studying, of doing homework, of doing those little things that really ultimately lead to greater results. Going back to my father, for my brothers and I, we were exposed to a lot of great role models. And it's funny now because, my brother and I were kind of talking about that, and, you don't see very many videos like, they did back in the 80s and 90s, and a lot of, ex-athletes within kind of my age range, give or take. I mean, you guys can relate. Very many of you, if I were to say, Michael Time, or Come Fly With Me, or Larry the Legend, or the movie The Pistol, or, on and on and on. You have a lot of memories associated with those movies. And, and I kind of think, in two different ways. Number one, those movies were very, very influential in probably a lot of our lives. Maybe stories of, Michael Jordan getting beat by his older brother, or not making the JV team. Some of those common stories. Other things, the Pistol Pete story, where he's constantly dribbling the basketball everywhere he goes. He sleeps with it. That was probably, the images that, we most frequently saw on the reservation, where you'd see kids carrying their basketball everywhere they went. So those are powerful influences. For my father exposed us to Muhammad Ali a lot. We watched a lot of documentaries on him, Return of the Kings, him, Joe Frazier, a lot of those bouts. Other role models my dad really kind of idolized and wanted to expose us to was Steve Prefontaine, a runner. Is very big into him. So Jordan, Larry Bird, Pistol Pete, all these people had amazing influences. And I think the reason why those movies were so influential in a lot of our lives is because you were able to see the steps and stages that they went through to become who they were. And so in some small measure and in some small way, you were able to see that pattern, and maybe it gave us hope on the reservation or kids in inner city or wherever it is that we resided at that time. That, if I can just do certain things, if I can work hard, if I can get up early, if I can sleep with my basketball, if I can dream about basketball, if I can dream about this, this, and this, that maybe I could be like that person. And it was powerful to really think about those patterns. We don't really have those movies anymore, who are those idols and people that we kind of pattern off? It's not in the same fashion. But the blessing is now we have a lot of social media. We have a lot of access. My father, and kind of going back to initially how everything kind of got started, is, my father, my brothers and I we very rarely ever talk about any monumental events. It's always kind of those small things. And so I frequently talk about the process, training. And so once again, I'd like to encourage anybody that has a video of them and their children, because I think that the power of seeing another person do it and some of those small steps that they're taking, it is very encouraging to see that. Because in some small measure, we all want to have that hope that, hey, if we can, maybe follow a pattern that, we can get there. And that's the blessing of our people, being Native American. My grandfather having been a World War II vet, my father being a veteran, my grandfather, many of our family members are servicemen in boarding school, we have a great history. But beyond that, just the culture itself, getting up in the morning early, praying, having faith direct us. There's a lot of great things we have around us, but to really see the application of it, especially in a modern day, being able to really instill a lot of those principles that many of us grew up around, and now being able to apply it to our children, it is very exciting. So once again, kind of, having thoughts on the drive home from work, and, once again, hit comment if you were ever that child, in junior high or in high school that worked a little too hard and got made fun of, or that studied, maybe too much from what your colleagues or your classmates or friends thought was necessary, and you got great grades and went to college and did certain things, I would definitely like to dispel that attitude completely and let this be something, as kind of an encouragement that, hey, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what other people say. If you're putting in the work, if that you're paying attention to the details, that at the end of the day, we can all celebrate that. And that's my excitement. That's a joy that I have in seeing my son and seeing my nieces, my nephews, and other little kids. I'm definitely very inspired, when you see them just playing and having fun and trying to do things the right way. Whether it's going to practice, whether it's going to school, because there's a level of empowerment that we all gain from working hard and being able to build and develop something for ourselves. And I believe that that's where a lot of our innovation comes from too, is that childlike attribute to love what we do and enjoy and have fun and be playful and push those boundaries. And that's what I see every day with my son. He will tell me certain things, Dad, I want to be tall like you, I want to be strong like you. And I laugh because I tell him, no, son, you're going to be stronger than me. Hopefully you'll be taller than me too. I'm not very tall. But that's the vision I have for my son, is that he will exceed me in every aspect as a man. That's my goal for him. It's not necessarily one sports event or this or that or anything else. It's that he will be a better man and a better person than me, and that I can help guide him and direct him. It's funny now because whenever I watch, I was watching Michael Jordan to the max, the other day with my son, and he had no clue, obviously, who Jordan is and what he's done. But it was interesting because now when I watch those same videos, when I think of those same athletes and these same people, I don't have the sense of hope that I'm going to be Jordan now. My time has passed. I've accepted that now I'm a father, and I love my role as a father. But it's interesting that when I watch those videos, I watch it thinking about what it was like for Michael Jordan's father. How did he raise his son to become who he did? What was it like being Tiger Woods' father? How do you develop and bring that about in your children? How do you encourage that joy and that passion that they have? The worst thought that I have in my life is that I will be my son's ceiling. That I will be the one that hinders his ability to reach his potential. So everything that I'm trying to do as a father is to try to open up every door possible for him so that no matter what he chooses, if he chooses sports, if he chooses something in the arts, playing an instrument, whatever it is, that he can apply that same level of passion and joy and practice and precision that I've been trying to stress with him since he was a child. So once again, I appreciate you guys' time. Comment, like, whatever else. If you have a story or something similar as well, don't hesitate to share it as well, because I'm pretty sure, and I'm almost positive, that there's a lot of parents out there that can relate, and that there's a lot of kids out there that can relate too. And once again, I'd like to encourage all of us in our process of developing. We as parents are probably learning and growing more than our own kids, in a lot of cases, and being pushed out of our comfort zones. And so, I like to encourage everybody in that way. And, I'm trying to obviously, be the best father that I can.